From the moment it was designed, at the onset of the Roaring Twenties, it seemed destined for stardom. 20 years later, when tragedy struck, it dropped out of the public eye for the next quarter century. Rediscovered in 1966 when it was used on the cover of one of the most groundbreaking pop music albums of all time, it became swept up in a new popularity that ironically threatened to destroy it forever. Tonight, on Behind the Typeface, Cooper Black. At the turn of the 20th century, the bustling advertising mecca of Chicago became home to an ambitious young illustrator named Oswald Bruce Cooper. Studying under the master Frederick Goudy, Oz, as he was known to his friends, fell in love with typography and left illustration behind. Soon enough, Oz had become a master typographer himself. In 1919, needing a heavier weight for the family of typefaces he was developing, he designed what would become his legacy, Cooper Black.
Oz designed a lot of typefaces in his day, you know, but I was his pride and joy. He called me the typeface for far-sighted printers with near-sighted customers.
Cooper Black was finally released to the public in 1922. Right from the start, it was a hit with advertisers across the country. In an age of ostentatious display type, Cooper Black, with its rounded serifs, was just what they wanted, simple and friendly, but bold. Some critics, however, were not so charmed. They dubbed it the Black Menace.
Critics. I mean, what can you say? Coop was hurt by the reviews, and I think it still ate away at him, even though he had become huge with the public.
The typeface was so popular, in fact, that a rival foundry, the giant Monotype, decided it needed a product that could compete with Cooper Black. To create its new typeface, Monotype hired none other than Oz Cooper's former teacher, Frederick Goudy. The master had become the student. Next, tragedy strikes twice, and a popular revival leads to self-destruction when Behind the Typeface, Cooper Black continues. Store Window Superstar.
Ooh, Rush Rip. The new album, Store Window Superstar. On sale now.
Despite its success, Cooper Black soon discovered it had to fight for its survival. To combat cheap knockoffs, Oz Cooper decided to protect his beloved creation by filing for a patent. The patent was denied. After an unsuccessful appeal, Oz sued the Commissioner of Patents in federal court, and in 1930 he won. But in 1931 the Commissioner struck back. A federal appeals judge ruled that Cooper Black looked too much like a word in a logo that had appeared before the typeface had been released. The judge wrote that any skilled workman, without any inventive ingenuity whatever, could have used the design elements of the logo type to create an entire typeface. Cooper Black's patent was killed. Unfortunately, this episode was only the first, and not the worst, of Cooper Black's problems. Just a few years later, he suffered his greatest loss yet. Oz Cooper fell victim to cancer and died in 1940. Cooper Black was devastated.
The patent was one thing. After Oz passed away, I didn't know what to do with myself. I guess I kind of dropped out.
With Oz gone, and bold sans serifs like Futurist starting to replace him in advertising, Cooper Black saw little point in staying in the public eye. Except for a hand-drawn version that served as the logo for Archie Comics, Cooper Black virtually disappeared, and wouldn't be heard from for another 25 years. Then in 1966, the Beach Boys released one of the seminal albums of pop music, Pet Sounds. It was instantly hailed as a classic, and everything associated with the album was headed for rock and roll stardom. Along for the ride was the typeface that had been used on the cover, an almost forgotten gem named Cooper Black.
Now Cooper Black was it, and I mean it. He was the creme de la creme. I mean, the parties he took me to. Everybody wanted to use him.
Unfortunately, Cooper Black proved unable to resist the temptations of rock stardom. At first he was only doing marijuana and psychedelics, but in the end he got hooked on cocaine. Soon he was getting fewer high-paying jobs, but his expenses had spiraled out of control. Desperate for work, he became available to the lowest bidder, and the bids got lower and lower. By the mid-'80s, Cooper Black had hit rock bottom. Finally, Cooper Black experienced a renaissance. Contemporary type designers began to uncover the rich history of Cooper Black, and where others saw a cheap commodity, they saw an underappreciated classic. In 1999, Patrick Giasson designed Oz, a tribute to the Cooper Old-Style family, featuring a bold new typeface called Oz Black. The following year, Cenk Diesel, adapting a design by a contemporary of Oz Cooper's, released what he calls his homage to Cooper Black, a playful young typeface named Rosemary.
Oz Black and I go over to Coop's house sometimes, and he tells us all about the old days. He's funny. I think he likes getting visits from people, at least people who are nice to him.
They're good kids, those two. It took me an awful long time to get back on my feet, and it helps a lot to finally feel appreciated for who I am. I just wish Oz were here to see this. I think he'd be happy to see what finally became of me. After all these years, I finally feel like I can show the world what I was made for.